Hello and welcome to Chatting Shit about the Vanguard field. Factions again. Wow, living the dream here. Joined again by Dan, because he loves it, Dan does. He loves it.
I love it. I love it.
And joined by Stuart and Alex. That's Spock and Hawkeye. How is everyone?
Good. All cold apart from you, Matt. So
Yeah.
All cold. Living in a third world country these days. It's yeah. Well, I'm sorry to hear you cold. It is also a bit earlier here than it is for you. It is also like -8 degrees outside. So maybe if you went outside, you'd be warmer. I don't know.
I don't know, mate. It's Scotland.
I'm not sure about that.
Scotland,
hang on a second. It might be -8 outside, but like it's -8 inside for us. That's the problem. It's the same temperature outside as inside at the moment. You might as well just not have walls in anything. It's great. But that's enough about politics and the general day-to-day living, isn't it?
Yeah. Vanguard. What do we think?
What a difference a day makes.
What a difference a day makes.
Yeah, I mean, have you looked at it compared to what it was before move changes, and now move changes have come in? Wow, this is. I mean,
I'm really annoyed. I'm really annoyed because I had a team built around Aurorus, and now with Meteor Beam, Aurorus is banned. And I was really looking forward to it.
And I was looking at it thinking, oh God, I've got to build an Aurorus. I was like, oh no, I don't. That's a relief.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Yeah,
arguably, you should have the last cycle because it was actually really good in whatever meta it was.
Primeval.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't do Primeval. I was working my magic in Sorceress.
I did for a week. I did. It's the first time in my entire factions career that I've stepped out of the Great League field and I stepped into Primeval, and I brought Aurorus, and it was really good. Like it was just really good.
Well, it's got a bit of bulk for an ice type, doesn't it?
It's bulkier than you think. Yeah.
It's got a horrible typing.
Defensively, yes. Offensively, it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you think you got to worry about grass types, for example, because the rock typing. It's like, well, the ice types cover that. You think you got to worry about fire types because of the ice typing. Well, the rock type covers that. So actually, offensively, it's quite solid. But I mean, that's banned from this, and I see why. Meteor Beam is really kind of good, and it does warp the meta. But I was really looking forward to building like. I thought that the teams were going to be a lot of like double dragons, triple dragons, even or dragon-esque if you can get there. And I thought that running things like Walrein and Aurorus to help cover that would then be good. And then I originally looked at Meteor Beam Aurorus for just randomly nuking the Walrein just in case. Because it has an okay matchup there.
Oh, of course, because you could run Aurorus in the second slot.
Yeah,
as a rock. Yeah,
that was my original thought was Walrein in slot 1, Kingdra in slot 1, I think, and then I ended up with Aurorus in slot 2, and Walrein might have been in the extra slot if it can or something like that.
Yeah.
And then my pick that I've got, but I was then looking at like Shadow Lugia with Dragon Tail because I thought that was really interesting, and Dragalge in the poison slot.
Well, most of that's down the toilet now.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel genuinely sorry for the guys who spent. And I think it was 2 guys who created this. One of them has told me he created this meta, so I'm fairly confident he did. But I feel sorry for him in the sense of he spent ages crafting to make this meta the way he wanted it, and then, oh, by the way, we're changing all the moves. Change places! Yay!
I think. I feel really bad for the still meta development team because I think this move update is quite small in terms of what we've got. Like we've got a couple of buffs, a couple of debuffs, a couple of Pokemon game moves, a couple of Pokemon, and that's it. But the impact that it has on these preset metas, it's almost like factions could do with maybe a week or 2 extra before starting, and just maybe develop the metas a little bit more.
Sylph gets no extra time.
Too long. We've got to adapt to the changes.
I think the problem with the wing attack buff, right, is that flying is such a versatile type. Like buffing flying sort of buffs everything because you're buffing Charizard, you're buffing Noctowl, you're buffing Gligar, Musclar, you're buffing
Mantine,
Pelipper.
Pelipper.
Yeah,
Pelipper.
exactly.
Look at how dominant Pelipper now looks in the Open Great League.
Exactly.
Because with wing attack being that even best, like Weather Ball is still good. Like it's just still good. Come on. The water type Weather Ball gives it play up against anything that would normally wall it.
Yeah.
It's got Hurricane as a nuke, and wing attack is really, really solid.
Yeah.
Maybe not buffing wing attack, maybe buffing one of the other flying fast moves. Or maybe even like buffing Aerial Ace or something like that.
No, Aerial Ace is destined to be gash. It's destined to be rubbish.
Okay.
There's some moves that are just meant to be utter trash.
Hang on a second.
Aerial Ace is there.
main series games, Aerial Ace is a high crit chance, isn't it?
Yeah.
No.
Is it not?
No, it just can't miss.
Oh, it never misses. It never misses.
Never misses.
All right. There's got to be something in there that you could potentially do with that, where it's like, even if they shield, they still take like half damage or something silly.
Do you trust Niantic to code that properly, Alex?
No.
Right. Let's not go down this rabbit hole, and let's instead talk about what actually is in this meta. And I'm going to come with Dan. We're going to come to Dan first because I know Dan likes this pick, and it's kind of an obscure one, and I know it's one of Dan's little favorites. So
it is. It's a nice fit. It's a nice pick. I mean, I'm going with Pokedex number 369, which just lovely rolls off the tongue. It's the longevity Pokemon, or as I prefer to call the shitfish Pokemon, and that's Relicanth. So the meta changed. And yes, if you look at the listings and stuff, we still have a Reggie on top, but it's no longer Reggie Ice. It's Reggie Rock because flyings now are dominant. And I mean, really dominant. And we touched on it earlier with Pelipper and Mantine as being really kind of good here. So I was thinking, water, rock, could this work? And yeah, it's Relicanth. Who doesn't love a Relicanth? I was lucky. I've got a friend who went to New Zealand. I got one. Happened to have good IVs, like when no one else had one. So yeah, I've always had it. It's been double move forever. Relicanth doesn't beat a lot. I'm not going to tell you it beats everything. And in fact, if you want to look at the numbers, it beats 38% of the meta in one shields, 38 in 0, 35 in 2. If you look at it across all Pokemon, you're getting 60% roughly. But what it does beat, it absolutely annihilates, and it beats a lot of the top meta here. So you're talking Reggie, you're talking Pelipper, Pidgeot, Euphis, Frostlass, Cofagrigus, Mantine. Reggie beats it in all shields, Pelipper all shields, Pidgeot, you can go down 2 shields if that Pidgeot's running Gust. Literally, they can shield twice, and you're still no shielding, just firing at it. Noctowl, no shields, don't need them. Relicanth's just taking it out, not a problem at all. So that small percentage of things that it does beat, it beats very, very well. And what I did find is if you add one water gun, that ups it from being a 35%, 38% to being a whopping 46%. And the big hitters that you're picking up then are Jellicent, which everyone loves Jellicent because it's jelly. It's, can't forget that jelly. And it also picks up Gallade in both its confusion and its charm. And that's with just one water gun. So if you lead this and they've come in with something wrong and you can get that, you can really boost your odds. If you get it up to like 6 water guns, then that changes again and it goes up much higher. But if you're getting 6 water guns in before they're switching, then something's probably really wrong. But looking at the fact that the birds and the flyers are going to be big here, and Reggie Rock is going to be big, I think Relicanth really has that niche place. I think I've talked about it a lot in chatting shit before, the Chinese water torture of just water gun, just tap, 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 tap. It's a horrible move, but it's a good move. It does what it says on the tin. You get Relicanth in, again, the wrong thing, and you're dead. You're just dead. I mean, you come up against an electric and you're not really, you'd think with it be throwing rocks, you'd be able to take out Zapdos, but And I was like, no, it's just killing you. It's just absolutely destroying you.
Did you say that Youthfisk loses to Relicanth?
Yes, loses in the ones and the twos.
Yep.
That surprises me.
Yeah.
Relicanth is surprisingly bulky. However,
It is
also
bulky, yeah.
It is also a 1-turn flip in the ones, and I think it's the same. It's a 3-turn flip in the twos, which means that you're having to throw on perfect timing in order to maintain your win over it in both of them.
But it's not. It's even if you don't keep the perfect timing, it's not comfortable for anybody in that scenario.
Yeah, I mean the same thing happens with Gallade and Confusion. Like if you throw at the wrong time and they sneak a Confusion, you just lose that so badly because the Leaf Blade is just going to take you from 100 to 0 in less than 5 seconds, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a massive loss if you don't get that one extra in. It's a massive.
I've got one word for you though. I've got one Pokemon that I think is going to be everywhere, and I'm really worried to see if I'm running a Relicanth. That's Walrein. Like,
it's
you kind of need to protect it, don't you?
You do need to protect it, and you've got to look at the rest of your team that you're putting around it. I mean, it's not something you're going to throw in there willy-nilly and just... I've got a Relicanth, it beats, because it only beats such a short percentage of things. But if you can get locked in against, as I said, a bird, and you can lose 2 shields on that, and if they're not smart enough to know, if they think, oh, I can brave bird it, I'll just keep on going, and them ancient power buffs start to kick in, and it's...
I'm wondering what the numbers are if you get the ancient power boost on the first ancient power or something like that. It's probably quite good.
I was going to say, I didn't think that the Relicanth matchup against Wolverine would be that terrible, because you're resisting the icicle spears.
So dominant.
And you're hitting with ancient power. So I'd have thought it would have been not awful.
Oh no, I'm just looking at it here. It's absolutely
really not nice. To be fair, that is baity. But even if you go straight Earthquake, Relicanth wins in the twos. But who's going straight Earthquake in that matchup? Like, yeah, sure, you're probably going to go, or who's committing 2 shields to that? They're probably just going to go, right, here's a couple of Earthquakes and go nuts. But Walrein's bulky enough that it could get away with that. But Relicanth is a sound shout, and I've had one since Safari Zone in Liverpool.
Yeah,
where they brought them out over here during the dreaded COVID time. Got a decent one, so I might end up building it for this because it looks interesting.
I like water gun users as much as the next man. I love water gun.
I remember.
I have concerns about relying on water damage in a meta where
full of dragons.
Well, this is it. There's
steals and water ices as well.
That too. But steel and fairy is banned. So, and people love double dragon. I don't think dragons are good here. I just like what, as Alex was saying. Walrein's
you need dragons which can not be terrible against ice, and there's not that many of them in this meta.
So it's things like Kingdra, which is then like really good against the water gun user. But this was my thought. So I looked at double and triple dragon to start with to see if that was a strat that you could run down. And Walrein and the water ices and things like that were the issue. And yeah, as I said earlier, without Aurora, it doesn't cover off. Relicanth, on the other hand, might handle some of the water ices.
Well, you can handle Celio. You can what else
Celio. You can handle.
You should take Lapras and Dugong. Lapras and Dugong.
You can just about handle. Yeah. Just about Lapras and Dugong. It's a little bit tighter than you might want, but it's not bad. It could work in that similar kind of role of what I was hoping. You just hope nobody's crazy enough to bring a Shadow Victory Bell.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it
doesn't do well against any Razor Leaf user. Let's face it. Do you know what I mean? Someone comes in with a Shadow.
That hasn't stopped Mud Boys. People still use Mud Boys.
I think Mud Boys hit with a certain power.
It's the charge move spam on the Mud Boys, isn't it? The problem with the problem with Relicanth is it's a different tool. It's more like using a Quagsire against Razor Leaper, because the charge moves aren't necessarily doing as much as Quagsire's would, but you're probably putting on about the same kind of fast move pressure to a Razor Leafer and probably getting to about the same number of charge moves. But when you're using Whiff Cash, at least you've got the chance to Blizzard. When you're using Swampert, you've got Hydro Cannon, which it adds up. If you're chipping at it at some point at the end of the game or something like that, it could do it. Whereas like you're probably not even reaching an Aqua Tail or an Ancient Power against a Shadow Vic, even if you're at full health and they're not. Like
even if you did, what's it going to do?
What's the point? Yeah, what's the point?
Tickle it?
Hang on. Yeah, probably. So I mean, an Ancient Power. Actually, do you know how much an Ancient Power does to a Shadow Victory Bell?
Go on, 60%.
49%.
Ooh,
Fair
fair bit.
49%.
That's quite good, that.
Yeah.
However, you die in 7 Razor Leafs, so you don't reach it.
Oh.
But it's like Dan saying,
if you manage to get them 6 extra water guns,
there you go. Or if you've got 2 shields off the Pidgeot and and saved a bit of energy from that.
You've farmed down. To be fair, you've probably been feather danced at that point, though, haven't you?
That's a good point.
That Ancient Powers, they're not doing as much. And then you need to rely on the boost to clear the debuffs.
I think
I should say that if you want to beat Shadow Vic, I don't think the best counter is Ancient Power.
If you want, I was going to say, if you want to beat Shadow Vic, let's not start your team with a Water Rock type. It's probably not going to do you too good. I'm just looking worst case scenario here. You know what I'm like.
No one's running Shadow Vic after flyers have just been boosted like to the extent they have. And there's good flyers eligible in every category. Like apart from possibly the second category, but even then you've got Gligar and Gliscor, right? So
and dragons and poisons.
Aerodactyl?
Yeah. No, but Aerodactyl's not a good flyer, is it, Alex?
Shadow with rock.
No.
We're not doing that.
We're not. We're not. We're taking no nonsense.
Yeah. So we can talk about Razor Leafers, but we can't talk about Shadow Aerodactyl.
No. We can't really talk about Razor Leafs. I don't know how that happened. Like that's not something we do here.
It damages ice types.
No, because no.
Ice damages it back as well.
Hang on. In fairness, Charm's been debuffed, so we've got to talk about Razor Leafers, right? That's how this works.
I'm not sure it is.
So Dan, right? Here's my next question. With it being Water and Rock, it is available not only in the 5th and 6th slot, but also in 1 and 2. How valuable is that in terms of having been able to fit it in multiple places?
I originally had it in slot 2 in my team build, but that was because I looked at it that there was more. The versatility I wanted was in the last slot, really. I found it more difficult to. I'm just trying to bring up actually what my team was, which I'm not going to say on this because, I know that there's Gym Division people watching and, they'll steal my strats and stuff like that. And I don't want to play against them and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So,
fine. I don't care. I told you I was running a roar, so I'm running Shadow Lugia. What are you on about?
Yeah, that versatility, is that a big thing? Is that, or is it just kind of what it is?
It is what it is. I mean, with any of the water types, I mean, they've got pretty good coverage throughout all of the groups, to be honest. It's not a hard one to fit in. I do think you're going to need the rock coverage is going to be important because of the flyers and the emergence of flyers. You're going to, I say rock cover, maybe anti-flyer cover. I do think these 2 months, I think now will appear quite a lot. And with 3 months, I think are going to appear quite a lot. And I think that's going to be something you're going to have to coverage for, which is why I felt having that coverage for Relicanth something that wasn't going to get completely shit on by Waters, but could throw back at flyers was kind of nice to have there. But no, I originally did have it on slot 2 because and I just don't. Reggie's a very easy answer. And I think a lot of people are going to immediately go Reggie because it's so good now.
Yeah.
Reggie Rock is so good in this meta now.
Yeah.
And again, it beats a lot of the water flyers, which is really kind of positive for it. So,
yeah.
yeah, I just wanted to go for something different than Reggie Rock, really. When I was doing my team build, and it was like, oh, Bellicamp, I think that'll be quite good.
Fair enough.
So,
Reggie Gigas.
Well, my pick,
Not allowed.
anything else? Anything else you want to chuck out, Alex? You know what I mean? What were I?
Not in the cup.
Not in the cup.
Close.
Well, my pick is
Not
also a
attractive.
slot 2 that's not Reggie Rock. I think in slot 2 you got to go for a fighting type personally. That's because like Walreign's going to be everywhere. You're going to want some stab damage on that. I like in slot 2. I like Pokedex number 475, which is Gallade, because it's just different to everything else in that slot. It's not the counter user that's going to make Walrein melt, but it's likely still winning those matchups or taking shields still. But what I like about it is its ability to turn around the matchups with the ghost poisons in the other slot. Now, if you're running the poison type, it's just going to get confusion down. That's kind of is what it is. The ghost types, you're looking at either Caphagrigus, Frostlass, or Jellicent. I think Frostlass is super valuable here. It always is. Like we've talked about dragons being really good. We've talked about flying being really good. Frostlass allows you a nice double up. So I think we'll see a hell of a lot of Frostlass. I think Jellicent is also really good because of the moveset versatility you get. Bubble Beam is enough to take on Reggie Rock. You can take on Ice Beam and beat Noctowl with a 1 hex advantage. I think you beat Noctowl in the zeros with Ice Beam. Like Jellicent is really valuable also. And you have Leaf Blade for that, and you can confusion through Frostlass in the 2s, or if you get a flight energy, you can Leaf Blade first. We've seen that matchup before in Nightmare. Nightfall. Yeah, we know that's playable, particularly for the Shadow Galley. Similar with Noctowl, like we know that first combat's going to sting Noctowl from a Shadow Galley, and if they let that through, you can shield, confusion down, got energy to throw at the next thing. Like that fighting grass coverage is super nice. The only thing you are going to struggle with is Caphagrigus. I don't think we'll see much Caphagrigus. I really don't. I think the competition in that ghost slot is too high. That and we might see people wanting to stack flying types, in which case, if they want the dragon, they may be tempted to go for Dragalge in slot 3. I don't think we'll see many of its biggest counters. I think we'll see Noctowl more than Pidgeot. So we don't have the immediate gust pressure that on it that might otherwise happen. So it's going to be able to get moves off.
Surely Wing Attack Pidgeot's better now.
I think it depends on playstyle. Like I'd still go Gust personally because I like
it. Tap bitch. Yeah.
Because I'm a tap bitch, and I like tapping down my champs before they can get charge moves off on me and that sort of thing. I think that's the difference.
Wing Attack prior to the move update, Wing Attack was nichely better in a few matchups where the energy made a difference. And it was also a lot more playable than Gust. Now I would say Wing Attack is broadly better, but they do very different roles in it. It's like having Shiftry, Razor Leaf or Snarl, or Razor Leaf or Bullet Thief. They're so different in terms of what they do. They just focus. It changes the Pokemon a lot more, in spite of the fact that the charge moves aren't going to change on it.
I think if you're looking for Pidgeot, if you're playing Pidgeot, you want it to be a hard counter. If you're playing Noctowl, you're wanting it to be a bit safer. And I think if you're going to play Pidgeot because you want that hard counter, I think you go Gust. I think in this meta at least, I think that's
I still quite like Gust on Pidgeot. Agreed. Yeah, I think I probably need to do a bit more testing on it, but my instinct was I didn't see if you want Wing Attack on Pidgeot. I think just because
Wing Attack's still legacy, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I have one built.
I have one.
I'm happy.
Yeah. I used it in
Stu doesn't have one, do you, Stu?
Yeah.
Oh,
I need to check. I do have a lot of Pidgeots though, so I may well have one buried. I don't see if it's
Do you have a lot of elite fast TMs? Because you could just use one of them.
Yeah, I have them
That's
if
true.
needs
Like,
to
I'm
be
pretty
as
sure
well.
I have like 15, 16 of them that just sit there, and I'm like, I need to use you on something. Tyranitar, maybe Shadow with the Smackdown. Yeah.
Oh, that's good fun. Yeah.
It was. It was a lot of fun.
no, I built mine I built mine way back in Toxic Cup just for Phil to RPS me with Steelix. So that's.
I think I built mine around about then. Might have been a little bit earlier. I had it in some Ghost Stadium lobby where I accidentally registered it as a Pidgeotto before XL
Oh
Candy.
no.
Nice.
They let me play. They let me play with it because they were like, "Oh yeah," because you were still you're showing your CPs and stuff, and I was like, "Look, clearly it's not a Pidgeotto. I'm really sorry." And Delian was just like, "Yeah, don't do it again."
I think it was around that time I brought a Swablu to tournaments of Altara. I was like, please let me use the Altara. I don't want to use the high single Swablu, please.
I mean, it's just so different with Peck instead.
Yeah,
isn't
come
it?
on, Stu, you can't be doing that. Yeah.
It's a long time ago. It's a long time ago.
You were saying it beats Jellicent?
No, it doesn't. It kind of with a confusion lead, it can take it in the
It's
ones.
bait dependent. It's bait dependent. So the Jellicent has to land a Bubble Beam bait and the Shadow Ball in the 1s and 2s, or the Leaf Blade KOs.
Yeah, it's kind of
And if
it's a wonky one.
Gallade it gets a confusion advantage, then it just goes straight Leaf Blade. And even if it's got straight Shadow Ball, or like even if it Bubble Beam baits, it just can't hang with it. It's a lot closer than you think.
I was just looking at it then, and I could see it was close, but
And I think
it looked playable.
I think as well with, I mean, you always have to take Jellicent matches with a pinch of salt, but I think if I don't know now, I think Noctowl now, just generally speaking, is probably the safest one in Great League, and it's available here in an unrestricted slot. Why would you not pick it? Given that Noctowl is going to be on almost every team because it's that good. If you're running Jellicent, you're running Ice Beam, so you don't have the Bubble Beam bait. So
yeah,
you
got to hit the Noctowl with something, an Ice Beam away. Yeah, yeah,
I-
Noctowl. I was already
don't know.
liking Noctowl before the update, and now once that update's come through, I'm thinking, oh, it's an absolute no-brainer now.
See, I go the other way on that, where actually I'd be still happy to run the Bubble Beam and the Shadow Ball, but then the rest of my team is basically anti-Noctowl. So it's like that's where I've got the Wall Rain somewhere. I've got other things, maybe my pick coming up that will answer the Noctowl, and it won't make it. So like, yeah, sure. If I get the Noctowl locked in on the Jellicent, it's awful. But if I'm playing it right, I can position it around it. It won't become that issue. Or I just throw a bunch of Bubble Beams and just keep on building up energy and be like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch out eventually and be okay.
You see, I'm a big fan of Ice Beam on Jellicent. I just love the extra coverage it brings. I mean that's a good thing about Jellicent. It's got lots of good options. But yeah, I'm usually a big fan of the kind of double nuke area. Just
I have previously run
situations more.
I have previously run Bubble Beam, Ice Beam on Jellicent. It did win me a game.
You are a psychopath, aren't you, Alex? You know what I mean? You said that with a little smile and a glint in your eye.
Has anyone ever done?
Win me a game. I bubble beamed in game 2, and then game 3 he locked his Venusaur in, and I ice beamed and it KO'd, and it was beautiful. It was absolutely. I played it perfectly, and I was just like, yeah, exactly how we drew it up, boys.
Has anyone ever done Bubble, Ice Beam, Shadow Ball before? Or is that just me?
I think I did that in Labyrinth. I think.
Yeah.
I use it as a Ghost Azu almost.
You used to have to do that for like Stunfist matchups.
Yes.
Because the bubble made it different, but you wanted like the Ice Beam for like a flyer or something. There was something niche in it where it actually made a difference.
Might be the case for Regirock actually. It might help us.
I think Bubble Beam's probably still okay against Regirock though. Like
against Regirock, I think you'd actually want the Bubble Beam because you're hitting that.
So this again is part of the problem with Jellicent, where it's like, okay, are we actually running Hex or are we running Bubble Beam? Hex would give you the ability to farm down a Gallade, a Frostlass, something like that, Bubble would give you the option on a rock type or whatever, or a ground type or something like that. So yeah, this is the problem with these kinds of mons, where they've got two very viable fast moves, they've got multiple very viable charge moves, and this is where factions, in my opinion, is one of the greatest formats, because when you look at your opponent's team, it can be any of them, and you have to plan for that. And that's honestly, that's one of the things I love about factions.
You picked a really good
I'll
pick,
get off my
Jellison.
I'll get off my thing there.
You picked Jellison, and that was a great pick, mate.
Can we go
we're
back
talking about Gallade.
Go back to Gallade, I think, because I'm a very big fan of Gallade. Is your Gallade planning to be Shadow?
That was my question.
Of course it is. You want to make Noctowl shit the pants, right? That's
yeah, exactly. You know, we'll fire off those close combats, see?
Yeah.
And also start crying.
And just a bit sorry, Dan, but if anyone even thinks about the word charm, that's they're doing something wrong.
No. But the best way.
No.
The best way for Shadow Gallade, though, is you want it to be an element of surprise. You don't want them to see it coming. You want them to go, oh my word, the Gallade's all of a sudden in, and you're 2 confusions in, and then one's like lost half its health, and then you're nearly at a Leaf Blade. They switch the flyer in, you can close combat it and die, and they're flustered at that point. The opponent's flustered. They're like, oh my god, half my team's dead. What is this thing? How do I beat it? And then to
be honest,
I'm getting really PTSD from you, Stu, right now.
Was it me? Have I done this to you?
Stu, I have a Shadow Gallade called Stu. You know what I mean? I think we built it on a chatting shit where literally I actually said, oh, I have got a good one, and you're like, build it, and I built it there and then. So
if it makes you feel any better, I have a slow bro called Matt.
Oh, the good times. That slow bro. Yes.
I hated that.
Speak to Penshu about it. You could start a support club, right?
Support group.
Back to Stu's idea though. That works really, really well in a game 1 where they don't know if it's confusion or charm, and they kind of have to play around both of it. And the thing is, by the time you switch it and you get that confusion off, they then have to register. Oh shit! Oh whatever. It's charm. It's confusion. Oh, it's confusion. I have to switch into this. They have to plan it out. It lags. It's time in your head.
Yeah.
That then they react.
Gone by then.
Well, it's
Do
not
you
even
think
necessarily
charm
that.
has a place here though in this meta at all?
No.
Potentially. So let's say that they're running multiple dragons. Charm is something that you have to consider. It's not necessarily like it might be the niche outside thing, but whenever you're playing, you still have to tell me, when you see a Gallade on your opponent's team, you're not in the back of your head thinking, this could be charm.
No, I'm not, because that would be insane.
Unless I'm playing Mystic Gas, in which case I'm thinking this is charm.
It changes the matchups, doesn't it? So it's like, okay, well, if it's charm, this. If it's confusion, this. And you'll find that there's not always a decent overlap for coverage on both. So when you've got, and you can look at the teams, and when you go, okay, right, well, Charm Gallade beats these. Okay, maybe this and this. Like, it's not multiple. Sure, fine.
No, it's definitely not multiple. Charm Gallade's useless.
but confusion Gallade beats the other one. It means when they switch, they actually have to think which one they switch into. Because if they switch the wrong thing in, they just lose. Like, Charm Gallade's got a much worse matchup against Dragalge than Confusion Gallade.
I'm all for moveset versatility in factions, but I think discussing Charm on Gallade is really clutching at straws. I think it's just such a bad idea.
I think if we bring Charm up one more time, that's going to.
I agree with you. The point I'm making though is that you always have to consider these things as a possibility, and using that, especially in game 1 or game 2, if you haven't used it in game 1, and aggressively going with it can get you that advantage. And then you've got 1.5 confusions advantage with your Gallade before they make a move. And then it's like, okay, well, actually now I've got that energy advantage. I can handle anything in the meta. Frostlass switches in where it's like, oh, it's Ghost type on a psychic fighting type. I'm always winning that. So no. I'm way ahead of you on energy here. I mean,
I'm going to say this here and now, like a bit of a statement. I like it when people use Charm against me because they're locked into strategy, and I know it's coming, and I know I will always have a way to deal with it. Unless I've built a bad team, I should always have a way to deal with Charm. Like, okay, they're going to do that. I just need to plan around that possibility. And for me, it's almost like one less thing I need to deal with. That's how I see it almost. So
Consider it.
use charm against me. Bring it on.
But consider it with like Alolan Ninetales, right?
Yeah.
It's exactly the same. You have to go. Is this Powder Snow or is this Charm?
No, it's not. It's two different things. Alolan Ninetales has charm and it has stab on a low.
It's much spammier, but they play so differently and they win different things. So you have to consider it and go, hang on, which is this? And that's like, I'm not even saying that Charm Gallade is good. I'm not. Believe me, I've run Charm Gallade. I'm never doing it.
I'm glad we've cleared that up.
You're doing a convincing argument, to be honest, Alex.
I'm never playing that again. I just, it's not, I hate it. I hate things that are weak to themselves. Like, I hate if you end up in a mirror match, like, I'm not a big fan of dragons. Like, I'm playing Guzzlord in Catch Cup at the moment. I'm not a big fan of that because it loses to itself. The same's then true with Charm Gallade. It's really bad if you end up behind, if like you lag a little bit and they get an extra one through. It's stupid.
Yeah.
But that thought always has to be in your mind. And that's where you can take advantage and you can take the tempo of the match.
So in conclusion, hang on, I'm going to pause because we're about to run out of time. So
run out.
I'm going to say, don't run Charm. It's shit.
It's okay because Matt doesn't edit.
Yeah, it's okay. Matt doesn't edit. Oh no, we've finished Alex's propaganda on Charm. Dan, you were going to say something.
So why Gallade over other fighters though? Because there are faster fighters, there are more fighters out there. There are fighters with Rock's Throw out there that you could use here. I mean, obviously, Champ's a favorite of people. Why have something that is? So when we talked about Ember, we said about speed.
Yeah.
Do you feel that there's a shift in this one where speed isn't necessarily as important and strategy is more, or?
Yeah, I feel like this is less speed based. I think when you've got safe things like Noctowl, you've got versatile things like Regirock. I think, and things like Frostlass and Pythagoras or Jellicent, which can sort of take everything on to some extent. Sort of with more general bulk as well around, right? There's speed and alignment is kind of less important.
And you're not worried about flyers.
So here's the thing: if you're a fighting type, there's already plenty of things beating fighting types here. If I'm going Gallade as my fighting type, then your fighting type has even less things it's useless against. So at that point, you have to really consider whether you're going to bring a counter to my Walrein or bring a counter to my Dugong or whatever ice type I may have chosen that week. Because I'm picking an ice type in slot one. There's it's happening. There's no two ways about that.
It's just too good not to, isn't it?
Yeah. I think we've spoken about this before, that Gallade is quite tricky to wall. It can do a lot to a lot of the flyers, essentially. There's not many flyers the flyers will win, but Gallade will hurt them on the way.
They won't enjoy it.
Or take a shield even. Yeah.
They won't enjoy it. Yeah. So that's what I think.
I think probably Confusion, Leaf Blade, and Close Combat is unresisted. I think maybe like Bug is the only thing that's going to be like resisting all of them, and
maybe a steel type which resists fighting.
You've got so like Skarmory, I guess, but
or Sizzle.
Even then, even then, Close Combat is still neutral.
Steel's banned, so this is
I was going to say there's no steel, and bugs are not going to be. I don't think bugs will really feature.
No. They're generally not a strong type. So my point is like, yeah, sure, like an Illumise is probably able to take out a Gallade here, but is it really worth it?
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a Noctowl Regirock meta. We're not going to see any bugs. We're not going to see any bugs.
So exactly. So you're always looking at, you've got something that's unresisted that you can throw, which is really strong. And even then, like, you're able to pair it with your own flyer because their anti-flyers are going to be weak to your Gallade, because like their ice types are going to melt to your Confusions, your Close Combats, your Leaf Blade, anything else that they're bringing, it's going to melt to that kind of thing. Yeah, the fact that it beats the other fighters, especially because Medicham isn't in the cup. Like whenever I'm picking a fighter, if I've got that like fighter role, I always like to pick the ones that beat the other ones. And that's where sort of I tend to generate toward or gravitate towards Gallade, your Medichams, your Toxicroaks, but I tend to stay away from the likes of your Scrafties, which lose to the fighting types. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay, Stu, we'll move on to you next. And I hate this Pokemon.
Oh no. It's a shame, isn't it?
I think of Stu when I think of this Pokemon.
Oh, yeah, so do I. So do I.
I
And,
know.
and I love you, Stu. I love you to bits. But it pains me to say this. I absolutely hate this Pokemon. Like, I hate Charm. I hate Razor Leaf. But of all Pokemon that aren't Charms or Razor Leaf, this is my most hated PvP Pokemon.
Oh my word! I can't believe you're saying this. Okay, right. Anyway, so my pick is the much hated, apparently, Pokedex number 277. It's everybody's least favorite Pelican, Pelipper. Now we need to mention Pelipper, unfortunately from that, because it's going to be big here. It was looking good anyway. It's got a wing attack buff. Those weather balls are going to be popping off like no tomorrow. And as you know, Pelipper, water flying type. Only 2 weaknesses. I love a water flying type. I love a Pelipper. I love a Gyarados. I love a Mantine. Like they're all really good options. But why? The thing is also, like I say, only 2 weaknesses. There aren't many electric types about. I think we've got Zapdos, Stunfisk. What else is here?
About it. That's about it.
That's about it. I think I'm missing a couple. But...
The non-insane picks. They're the only two.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Emolga?
I'm getting
Emolga's just a poor man's Zapdos, right? Come on.
Okay. Well, for those who haven't bought Zapdos,
I'm sorry, that hurts, Matt. Yeah.
Good.
All right, Dan. We're still waiting for the aerial ace stuff. One day we can dream. Anyway,
it'll go through shields.
Yeah. There are. Anyway, also there are rock types, but hopefully with a bit of head of steam and a bit of wing attack energy generation, like I say, we're going to be firing off weather balls to deal with those rock types. Yeah. The thing which does worry me for Pelipper are those bulky water ice types, which are resisting the weather ball. I mean, you will be eventually get to Hurricane. So something for me that would be considered something like Dugong, which I think is a bit of a sleeper pick here. And it's a kind of a bulky water ice that is continuously debuffing. I think that could be one to watch out for. So, but yeah, I just think Pelipper's going to be really strong, and you better prepare for it. In short, and it can fit in three of the different slots. So it can be slot 1 as a water type, it can be slot 4 as a flying type, and because it's not ice, fighting, ghost, or dragon, it can be in slot 5 or 6 as well. So it's very easy to slot in the team. And like I am potentially thinking I want it in slot 4 as my flyer, because that slot is telling me, oh, slot 4, dragon or flying. We want you to picking him on, which is weak to ice, and I'm trying to avoid that trap and make sure that I'm not weak to ice. That's my reasoning.
Why Pelipper over Mantine?
Spam, extra spam weather ball, and I prefer it.
Does not having the bubble beam to sort of bring things down.
He's elected. He doesn't want to play that matchup because the Mantine mirror match. It's soul destroying. It goes right up to Sunrise Cup, your Umbreon matchups, and then it's your Mantine matchups, and it's soul destroying to watch.
I'm more of a it's not the way I play. I'm more of a get in, do lots of damage, get out, case closed, done.
I just think with factions
and enough about your personal life.
Factions being what it is, and as Alex pointed out earlier, and I pointed out in the last episode, you can change movesets and you can play with it and things like that. Mantine, you know what? You could surprise someone with a bullet seed Mantine and just go, hey.
You can.
I thought we were being degenerates today. I thought we were like, going to raise.
Come on, Alex, you're in no position to shit on bullet seed Mantine, Alex. You talked for 5 minutes about how charmed Gallade's good. Come off it, mate.
No, if you said bubble Mantine, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I respect it.
I'm just saying, there are these options out there which Pelipper is very good. it's very good. I'm now built my second one, and I didn't build one before meeting Stu. I got a lot of things with your name on, Stu. But Pelipper's great, and it is great, but it is very one-dimensional. I suppose you could say everything that he throws at you is stab, so that's good. But you don't have that versatility as Mantine. You have got that ice coverage. You have got that debuff coverage. You could go to the crazy levels and run Bullet Seed if you so chose to. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but you could do that. If you know that you've got a heavy rock team that you're going against, you could go with I suppose you've got the water gun with...
Water gun.
Yeah, but you could go bubble with Mantine and just
we're
furious.
Not at this point. With Pelipper, we're trying to take advantage of that buff to wing attack, and like you say, because we'll be getting to the weather balls so fast. I think there isn't really much of a need for water gun in that respect. So I've always enjoyed playing with Pelipper, and what better opportunity than to use it when it's been buffed and the meta was already looking fairly strong in. So
I wonder if the buff will sort of make me hate Pelipper a bit less. Like my issue with Pelipper has been is that whenever it's eligible in a meta, it kind of looks okay, but you can never really put your finger on what it actually beats. Like Architects was where I know you rated it in Architects too. I looked at it and thought, well, Muck's going to be everywhere. It's going to lose to Muck, but what's it going to actually beat? And the problem with Pelipper is that the answer to what is it actually going to beat is more often than not everything if it doesn't get a bait, but nothing if it everything if it gets a bait and nothing if it doesn't get a bait. And I'm always on the wrong side of that 50-50, and it does my head in. And I can't stand the thing. There you go.
It did. I lost against Jack Rowe, and literally he messaged me afterwards, and he was like, "I just didn't bait." And it was just like, "You'd have won that if I just did." And it was just like, can't say anything. The game was over at that point, and that was our lead. But it was over. You know,
it was over. It was over.
But with wing attack being better now, maybe it reaches hurricanes faster to the point where people don't want to bait. And
I think less bait dependency now, which swings and roundabouts. It makes it easy to predict, but at the same time, the hurricanes are coming harder.
Yeah, and I'd take that as someone facing a Pelipper. If indeed it does work out that way, I think I'd rather the Pelipper. I'd rather the hurricane come two turns earlier and be more confident that it's going to be a hurricane.
Yeah.
I'd take that trade off any day. Whether it works out that way or not, I don't know. Like you play whenever you play GBL, people do all sorts of things all the time, and anyway.
I'm just excited the hurricane's coming 2 turns earlier. I'm thinking, let's wreck them. Let's go.
I mean, looking at some of the matchups, it looks pretty good. The problem that you've got is there is a lot of bulky Pokemon. The likes of the Reggies, because bear in mind, you're neutral to Blizzard on Regice, but it does get Thunder, and that will OHKO you.
But you have shields. That's what shields are for.
I'm pretty sure that matchup doesn't matter if you're shielding or not. Like, you're getting to the Thunders pretty quick. Right, you win in the 2s if you double bait and land a Hurricane, and you win by 1 turn.
See, easy.
There you go. Easy if you're playing me, because I will shield both those.
You're sure, yeah. You've got problems with Dugong. You've got problems with the Dragons. You've not got a great matchup with Frostlass. Venusaur.
Well, we can deal with Frost. We can deal with Frostlass.
As a grass type, Venusaur beating a flying type feels a little rough, doesn't it?
So
it sounds so rough when you say it like that.
We've not.
But how's Pelipper with
I've lived in Liverpool too long.
We've not mentioned the superior water flyer here, which is of course
Gyarados.
Shadow Gyarados.
Yeah,
that's got by far the best Regirock matchup of all the water flyers. And
it's not
got wing attack though.
No, it doesn't need wing attack.
Got the new exciting buff.
It doesn't need wing attack. No one's bringing the fighting type, so wing attack's not doing super effective damage anyway. You just get Dragon Breath on. You absolutely melt through Regirock with that 1-turn Dragon Breath, and it's awesome.
But there's literally a slot with fighting types. You want to be bringing blind damage as well.
No,
Yeah,
it's
but
fine.
don't you think, as I said, because of this flying buff, and it's what I was saying to Matt earlier, with my team building that I didn't incorporate the fighter because the
What's
buff
the point?
is there.
Yeah, what's the
And
point?
people, we all talk about it. New toy syndrome. Oh yeah, I'm going to use this.
Look at
Beware's now suddenly good. Let's all use this. And we did. We had a month where everybody and their dog used Beware.
Oh,
the week
I
after
did,
it came out.
but yeah.
The week after it came out, Open Great League had Toxapex everywhere.
Yeah.
The week after it came out, so it had been released after the teams had been announced. After the teams had been announced, it was released that weekend, and people had them. And I was guilty of it. I had it for the next one, but I'll tell you what, I also lined up against the Pelipper, and that was a fun matchup.
It was.
Sorry, just to bring it back onto the topic.
Yeah.
I'm
So
just meaning.
just to summarise, switch in Pelipper, get a couple of wing attacks advantage, profit.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not bad. It's got a lot of great matchups across the board. It does have win conditions against Walrein, which is nice for a bulky ice water type. It struggles more with the likes of Celio and Dugong. Dugong is a much tougher matchup, but that's the icy winds coming in. So
yes, I admit Dugong's a problem.
I have a feeling Matt's going to be enjoying Dugong if it's Pelipper on the other side, because it won't matter if he gets the 50-50 right, because he just shields early and icy wins you. It doesn't matter if you hurricane me, I've debuffed you 3 times.
No, I think my strategy against Pelipper now is just never fucking shield. Like, it's fine. You can win the zeros.
Noted.
That's fine.
Noted.
You heard it here first. I'm just going to play Ember and be happy. That's
Yeah. To be fair, that does look very interesting. But
there's a reason he's deployed me in
the
back.
way this is the way that this is shaken up after the move update is what's really interesting to me. So we'll see.
That's the thing. It's interesting, and that's such a thing, because we all looked at it as soon as it came out and saw the move change, and suddenly it's such a different beast.
It's a much more different. It's a very dynamic difference. And actually, from a very early standpoint, looking at the metas, I think these metas that we've got this cycle look really interesting to take part of. Like even Great League with the tier system, Ultra League obviously back to as it is, Master League with more megas introduced, and then the fields that just really, really interesting at the moment.
Well, before my sort of blood pressure gets any higher thinking about this thing, Alex, we'll move on to your pick, and we'll all have a good laugh.
Okay, so mine is Pokedex number 479. It comes in one of 6 different forms, but only one of them is the one that I want to be using at the moment. And it is another electric type. It's also part water type. It is, of course, Budget Lantern, Rotom Wash. I'll wait for you to process that information. That's fine.
I just want to point out that people have absolutely rinsed me for picking Lucario before. This is.
Can I just say that was a lovely use of the word rinsed, given we're talking about a washing machine.
And can I just say that Lucario was dog poo in that meta, as actually Rotom Wash does sort of, with Lantern not being there and most of us being far too stingy to spend on Baby Lantern, is a very, very interesting.
Yes.
Let's see how the next few minutes go, and then I'll be the judge.
So bear with me a second, because it's not the Pokemon that you throw into your team and go, I'm winning. You have to build your team around it, and that's where I think this is going to start. But the way that this came to me was I looked at it and went, I want electric sources of damage, but I also want something that's resisting ice, because I think that ice is going to be everywhere, because Dragon is in there and you're missing Steel and Fairy, which means that Dragon is very enticing to bring, but you need something to deal with the Dragon. So I think that we're going to see a lot of Walrein. I mean, Matt's already said it. His slot 1 is going to be an ice type. It's likely to be an ice water type, let's be fair, because they are bulky. They're much more bulky than standard ice types. They have better resistances, all of this lot. And they're generally better Pokemon when you think Dugong Lapras over a pure ice type like, I don't know, Glalie.
Hey, don't you go bashing Glalie. What a great mon Glalie is. There we go.
Glalie's great, but Glalie's also not what you want in this cup.
No,
let's be fair.
agreed. Yeah.
Because yeah. Anyway, so the electric damage I think is really important, but the ice resist is also really important. So the water electric typing I think is really, really useful here. You've then got the moveset. Now the moveset isn't amazing. Hydro Pump is worse than Surf. Thundershock is I would say better for what it's supposed to be doing, but it gives you a lot of options and it gives you a lot of outs where you're able to take on these flying types, Thundershock, Thunderbolt, and be quite happy about it. But you're also able to take on these water ice types and handle them that way. Looking at it, so all you really want it to be is some of the ice types, the bulky ice types, and the flyers. It deals with Pidgeot, it deals with Mantine, it deals with Lapras, it deals with Walrein, it deals with Noctowl, which, is going to be popular, let's be fair. It deals with Stelio, it deals with Pelipper, sorry Stu, it deals with Dugong, it deals with Tentacle, it beats Unova Stunfisk. Okay, it's bait dependent, it's landing a Hydro Pump, but it beats Unova Stunfisk. It's not impossible to do. It's a narrow loss to Kingdra. It's not great against, Jellicent is, again, it's Bubble Beam dependent, but you end up in this really interesting. So let's say that Jellicent are forced to run Ice Beam and Shadow Ball because you've got a flyer. You're beating Jellicent as well. So this big chunk of the meta, this like core group of really effective Pokemon that you could almost argue every team is going to be running something on that list, possibly multiple somethings on that list. When you consider, let's say, a bulky ice type and a flying type, Rotom Wash could be a really nice linchpin to scare off that little core to then allow the rest of your team to work really well. It's not a centerpiece to your team. It's a bodyguard to protect the more valuable parts of your team. Let's say you pair it with a good fighter. Let's say you pair it with Gallade. Are you bringing in a fighter because of the Glade? Probably not. Are you bringing in a flying type to deal with the Glade because I've got an electric type that's going to crack it? Probably not. You're definitely not wanting to bring in ice types. What are you bringing in there?
So I think it's interesting that you say it's a bodyguard because
it's kind of squishy.
To me, well, I expect that also, but to me, like this is a mon where you to get the benefit out of it, you actually do have to use it. Like this is almost a game one lead. This is a kind of right, okay, because I'm gonna look at Rotom Wash on my opponent's team and think, yeah, what a stupid mon. He's not going to bring it. I'm going to not plan for it, and I'm going to be ABB or ABA week to it. Yeah, and you're going to lead it game one, and you're going to beat me. Like you're. This is a mon where if you're bringing it in your 6, you use it, and even if you just lead it game one just to mess with my head, and then leave it, don't bring it 2 and 3. Like it's kind of
No, that's exactly it. But that's how it bodyguards the rest of the team. It's about putting you off from bringing things that I then don't want to see, and I compare it with the things that I want it to be. So this started the whole reason I started with Rotom was I wanted to bring a lot of dragons, and I needed to get rid of ice types. And the easiest way was Aurorus before it got banned, my own bulky ice type, and Rotom Wash, and it just looked really interesting. It was something I really wanted to give a shot on. So yes, I powered mine up. I will be testing it in a few practice tournaments to find out how bad it actually is. But I will probably be doing the lead it and then go, all right, we've managed this. There's a wild Sam has appeared.
I think it's, as I said, I like it. I genuinely, it's sort of in a similar way of the thinking that I had with Relicants, but also, as Alex said, it's got that additional ice kind of thing behind it and stuff like that. Because I was looking at things that beat the Flyers. I know this won't necessarily beat Reggie.
I don't want to see Relicant because it actually beats Rotom Wash in the twos. Water Gun is, I have 97 HP. Water Gun is a lot, okay?
But it's got such a nice niche play there that I think it could be really good, and I think it hits what you need it to hit. Sometimes you don't need to hit everything. You don't need that huge coverage if you're just doing the job.
Super lasered, and the thing is because it's so good on the on what it deals with. It's like Relicanth actually, and it's a very similar kind of pick where it's like Relicanth doesn't beat everything, but what it does beat, it beats well enough and consistently enough that it's going to do its job. And that I think it's that style of focus is what I want to take into Vanguard here, and sort of build this kind of okay, my slot, because I think I can slot this into 5 and 6, and I think that's where I ended up putting it in the original slot.
Or one.
So I don't want to waste it. Yeah, no, that's a Walrein or a
that.
Dugong. Like that's not. I can't justify not bringing that.
Yeah.
I'm then too weak to dragons, and I need the ice type to deal with that. But I can invalidate your slot 1 with that. I can invalidate your flying slot with that as well, depending on your typings. And I may be able to invalidate some of your 5 and 6s as well with that. And if I can invalidate that with a single pick, we're playing chess. Oh, sorry, we're playing checkers, but I'm sat here playing chess, and I'm like, you know what I mean? It's that kind of mind game that you can put into it. And even it's 6 Pokemon, but I can stop you from bringing in 3 of your Pokemon with 1 of mine. That means my other 5 have a lot more freedom over your remaining 3.
It's also the thing of how many I've played against the Rotom Wash, I think, in a tournament scenario once.
Yeah.
Against one person, that was Penchu.
I should probably reach out to Penchu and find out how good
Yeah,
how bad this thing actually is.
It is Spice Night was a beautiful thing. Spice Night was so much fun. So how many people are going to have ever played against it and are going to literally come up against it and just not know how to deal with it? As you said, it's like shock factor. You come into a match, first
Thunder
game,
shock factor.
boom, thunder shot factor, liking that, and yeah, boom, it's there, it's in your face, and it's.
I think we're getting a bit carried away here.
Thank you, Steve.
I don't want to be a party pooper. I mean, I think Alex is a great man.
I think you are.
I've known you for a number of years, and then you are, and you built a very convincing argument for Rotom Wash, but there are some fundamental flaws.
It loses to Frostlass. It loses to Regirock. It loses.
What are you doing against Mud Boys? Don't say Hydro Pump. You're getting there like once a blue moon. By that time, you've been Mud Bombs or Earthquakes already times.
Well, no, this is. I mean, you're right. This is how. This is a weakness to it, and that's completely fine because that's what you then have to build the remainder of your team around. So this is where the team synergy is really going to come in, because if I'm bringing a grass type to deal with the Rotom Wash weaknesses, the grass type want to bring in the flyers. But if I've got a Rotom Wash and an ice type, do you really want to bring in a flyer?
The thing is, it's also got a fundamental weakness to grass. That's 2 major. I think we'll see Venusaurs. I think we'll see Credillies. I really do.
I think you will.
I think we'll see Credillies.
Yeah, and again,
Credilly is an issue.
I think what Alex
is
is
an issue because it breaks at 3.
I think what Alex has just described is the reason why Lantern is banned. And there's a reason why Lantern is banned, but Rotom is not, right?
No, I mean, there is. But you've also got to consider that it is a budget Lantern. It has a worse charge move than Hydro Pump over Surf. Of course it is. However, Lantern, I think, would be so good in it. Like, I think Lantern would be dominant in this meta. And I'm not even like, not just dominant, but like meta breaking.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I think that a budget Lantern is still good.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, fair.
I think that it's close enough. It's not like in any normal situation, like any other situation, I'm never bringing Rotom Wash when I've got Lantern. There's no scenario. But the difference, I don't think is so massive that a budget Lantern is bad.
Alex, can I just ask you?
That's the problem, because you've got to remember how much better did Lantern become once it got Surf. Because I stayed away from the original.
Come on, but everyone had. You stayed away, but everyone else didn't. Yeah. I did.
I played Lantern for years. I played it since Tempest Cup.
Yeah, so did I. So did I.
Fantastic.
But I didn't particularly enjoy using it. And what I'm trying to say is you've got to think of the upgrade which happened once it got Surf. Now, Rotom Wash is lagging behind even further. Yeah. So it's basically 2 tiers.
But it was originally the Spark upgrade, and then it was the Surf upgrade.
Yeah.
Because it was originally like Water Gun or Charge Beam, and it was like, I don't really want to run either of them.
Can I just add here? So we're talking of factions here, and this is another, like, I could see how if you were a Rotom enthusiast, you might want to put it on your team. But factions is this, you're sort of battling on behalf of your 9 friends. And just Stu and I are on the same faction here. And if Stu said to me, right, Matt, this week I've had this great idea, I'm going to run Rotom Wash, I would be fuming with him. Like how, like
and you'd express it, and that's a very try-hard thing to do.
That's still fine. That's still fine because Stu then has an option. Stu either puts his money where his mouth is, or he backs down.
I fold like a cheap tenner.
That's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine. But if you decide at that point, if you turn around, so any of my faction turns around to me and goes, I want to run this, and I think it's a stupid idea. Trust me, I'm the first to tell them. Okay, that is a dumb idea. What are you doing that for? But if they put their money where their mouth is, I turn around and go, actually, do you know what? Fair play.
Okay.
Our Master League specialist built a Buzzwole team, and it just looks awful. It looks horrific. Like I looked at that matchup as well, and I went, easy 0-3. Easy 0-3. He's never winning a single thing. Do you know what? He 3-0'd, and I trust him now. He turns around to me and goes, I want to build this team. Fine.
Master League specialists are they're an interesting breed, though, aren't they?
They're weird. The same thing's happened in different metas. If somebody shows me they've thought it out, they've built a team, and they are convinced that it will work, I will trust them to do that. And that's part of that competition. And if it doesn't work, I'll turn around and go, look, next time you listen to me, just don't do that again. That idea hasn't worked, but we learn from it. Yeah. And hopefully the rest of the team is good enough that we're able to get through. Yeah. Don't ask me how last cycle went.
Okay.
Move on.
I'm not gonna poke the bear on that one. But yeah. Go on, Dan. I feel like you were going to say something there.
No. I'm sort of with Alex, and I know you two are very much against it, but I've brought some strange things before, and they've done niche jobs. But they've done niche jobs, and I've wanted them to do niche jobs, and not all the time it has worked, but a lot of the time some of the time it has, and I've enjoyed it. And again, maybe I don't play for the tryhards or anything like that. I play for a faction that's more about enjoying the game and playing and living and breathing it and having a bit of fun and stuff. But yeah, I'm now thinking about actually looking at Rotom Wash and thinking, can I build around this? Can I build a team around this that would work for me functionally? It's not something I'd go into easy. As Alex said, he's going to try it in practices, and he could find after 2 practices, you know what, this is too thin. It's really too thin. Maybe I need to look at Dan's pick, Relican. But
I guess I said that it didn't cross my mind already.
But he may actually go, do you know what? I can make this work. And suddenly if he can build the team that supports that, and we've all been there. You both have been there when you've built a team that supports a particular Pokemon. I go back to Shadow Glade, the first time that became really, really big, and it was about building the team around it, and it sort of protected everything around it. And as you said, you came in and suddenly it was like, poof. I can't remember what cup it was, but it was Nightfall.
Yeah, Nightfall.
And it was awful not having a Shadow Glade because you'd gone into it and not prepared for it and things like that. And I think
I hated that. I hated that.
Yeah, see, Alex is with
me. It was a nightmare.
But if he can make this work and build the team that works around it, do you know what? I rate it is good for a week, and I rate it could probably knock the socks off somebody. So yeah, that's my thought.
It'll catch somebody by surprise. Go on,
they look at your team history and factions, so you can see he's running that Rotom Wash. Oh, better bring a mud boy for that.
Yeah, so I drop it the next week and bring 3 grass types. What you want about?
Yeah, but the point is, you see it in your history, and they're always aware.
Yeah. I mean, in fairness though, like last cycle, I ran an XL Wobbuffet. Was it good? It actually was one of the best Pokemon I had on that team. Like the entire team was built to be super bulky. It was weird. I lost that week, 2-1, but I nearly won all 3 games. Like it was like timeout and like 1 HP difference on most of them kind of thing. So like it was really, really close. But that kind of thing really sparks joy.
Yeah.
This
No, that's
might
fair.
spark joy.
That's
This
fair.
might spark joy. It might not, but it might spark joy.
Might Thundershock joy.
Might Thundershock joy. Yes. When it gets spark and surf, I'm there. I just think
It's not getting
for
that
me,
though.
No,
If you
it'd be
wait,
banned.
move
It
update
would be
next
banned.
week, sir.
It would be banned 100%.
We need this cycle now.
But right now, it laser focuses on what it needs to deal with. So, like, if you turn up with Pelipper, and
Which
I turn
is
up with
getting a
Rotom
buff.
Wash, but I turn up with Rotom Wash, you're still screwed.
That's what the
All
other
the
mons
buffs
on
in
my
the world,
team are
all the
for.
buffs in the world,
See,
ain't helping you.
that's what the other Pokemon are doing for me as well. You see the point?
Do you want to know something fun, Alex?
Go on.
You know how we said Pelipper, if it double beats something that it shouldn't do,
Like Rotom Wash in the twos.
like Rotom washing the twos. Yeah. So let's.
No. Right, okay, so I'm pretty sure everything beats Rotom Wash in the twos. I'm pretty sure everything beats Rotom Wash in the twos because it has 97 HP and no defense.
Yeah.
As you know, it's got relatively good defense. So just looking at it, it's 143 defense, which is actually not that bad.
Yeah.
The 93 health is quite poor, and it looks like it's not going to be particularly tanky. But I haven't played with it properly. I don't know. Also, double bait land the thing. It doesn't get the hurricane.
No, you need that's with the 2-wing attack start you do, but yeah, it's kind of
it gets thunder shocked down before it gets enough energy to reach the hurricane, which means that then I'm coming out of it with 34 energy, so halfway to another thunderbolt, and I've still got 20 odd health. It's not bad. Like,
well, there you go, Stu. This is the best argument I've heard for Gyarados being the best.
I was going to say, hang on a second. How's Gyarados do?
Gyarados is not as bulky as Pelipper, so it will surely die earlier.
Yes, but with Shadow and Dragon Breath, it's actually so Shadow Gyarados actually beats it in the wands. Assume that's landing a bait and landing a crunch.
Yeah, it just needs to, that'll just Dragon Breath through it straight Aqua Tail.
No, it's straight Aqua Tail.
Yeah.
It's because the Rotom doesn't reach the second Thunderbolt before it gets KO'd by the Aqua Tail.
Yeah.
But in the zeros and the twos, Rotom just wins that. So it's like, this is the thing. But
I'm really impressed. We've only got 2 minutes left of the call, so I'm really impressed that we've managed to avoid talking about Double Dragons and Regirock and Noctowl for the most part here. Like that's
you wanted to be chatting shit, didn't you?
Yeah,
like,
this is it. Like this has brought back the essence of chatting shit. I think it shows. But the first ever self tournament I played Mono Water. I think Mono Water is. I think there's a strat here for that. I think it's kind of. It wasn't. It was Open Great League, but I just thought I'd give it a go.
Just hope if you go Mono Water, you don't run into a Rotom Wash, mate.
No,
that's what Mud Boys are for.
Mud Boys. Yeah.
And Gyarados. And Dan's pick, which I've forgotten, Relicanth. Yeah.
Ludicolo?
It's that memorable.
Ludicolo would be good.
Yeah.
Well, thanks guys for joining. Really appreciate your thoughts. I like this cup. I think this is one where it suits the factions format because you will have an inkling that your opponent might run Double Dragon in advance, whereas it could be one of those cups where you come up against Double Dragon and your opponent plays Double Dragon 3 games and you're not built to deal with that, and it's kind of dull and boring. I'm excited for this one in factions.
It's grown on me. When they were released, I looked at them and I went, I prefer Ember over Vanguard. But this has grown on me, and the more I dive into it, the more I look at it and go, actually, I think this is a really good meta. I think it's solid.
It's a very clever meta, and I think hopefully we'll have a lot of fun this cycle. I'm very big fan of the way they've formatted it. So can't wait.
Nice. All right. Well, catch you all later.
Thanks for having us on.
Cheers, Matt.
Bye.